I'm the Lonely Necron, and welcome to my basement. So today, we're going to be looking at what the entirety of Bleek's Ad Mech can do to an equal amount of tyranids. Mainly because I'm curious. Yeah, Billy was kind enough to loan me his entire Ad Mech army, so I might as well use the entirety for this game, because tyranids. This is the Catan shard of the Deceiver. Definitely a nice little model. It paid out really well, I think. It was definitely a pain to put together. It wasn't. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory considering the instructions. I don't recall there being instructions, so. But yeah, I like my Catan. They do a pretty good job. This guy turned out pretty well. So this will be the board for today's game. We got hills and some broken up structure things. Fountain. And then a wall of martyrs, some barricades, and some more hills. It looks to be a good time. So this is the Tyranid force for today's experience. We have 12 Termagants with Spine Fists, 12 Termagants with Flesh Borers, 6 Ripper Swarms, 2 10-man groups of Hormagaunts, 5 10-man groups of Genestealers, and then a 5-man group of Genestealers. 7 Tyranid Warriors, 3 of them have the Barbed Strangler. The Winged Hive Tyrant, who knows Catalyst and Onslaught. 2 Trigon Primes, a Tyrannifex, a regular Hive Tyrant, who also knows Catalyst and Onslaught, and a Broodlord. So that's 112 power level of Tyranids. So here we have the 112 power level of Ad Mech, led today by Belasarius Cawl. Billy tells me that it's canon that there's some Space Marine guy that follows Belisarius around, so that's what this guy does. He has no health, he has no wounds, he doesn't do anything else, he just follows Belisarius around. Got a regular engines here, a Tech Priest Dominus, 10 Skitarii Rangers, 10 Skitarii Vanguard, the Scorpius Dunestrider. Normally it carries troops, but today it's just going to be shooting stuff on its own with nothing inside. 3 Cataphan Breachers, 2 Castellan Robots, 5, those are Rust Stalkers. And then for the awesomeness over here, we have a Knight Castellan and 3 Armiger Warglaives. So yeah, I'm thinking this is going to be a good fight. I think the Tyranids are going to lose a lot. I think the Ad Mech are going to do really well. We'll see how it goes. I'll set the board back up, and we'll do deployment, and we'll start this game. Alright, so the Ad Mech won the rollout for deployment, and they chose the trench side over here. So on the far side over here, we have the Knight Castellan with the 3 Armiger Warglaives and the engines here kind of hanging out behind the Warglaives. Belisarius Cawl and the Sicarian Rust Stalkers right there. So the Rangers and the Vanguard in the trench. The Cataphan Breachers along with the Castellan Robot, the Dominus, the Dunestrider, and then the Iron Strider Belisari. So that means Tyranid's got the other side. Genestealers doing their Vanguard deployment thing. 5 groups of 10 and the Broodlord. And then a group of 5. We have 10 Hormagaunts and the Tyranid Warrior Blob with the Tyrannifex. 12 Termagants with the Spine Fists, the Flying Hive Tyrant, the other termagants with the flesh borers, the ground hive tyrant, and then the other 10 hormigons and the tyranid prime. The 2 trigons and the ripper swarms are all burrowing under the ground somewhere. And the tyranids did not steal, so yeah, terrible times. That does indeed make it the Ad Mech turn, so we'll start with that. Movement. The castellan robots here have moved up, as have the Cataphan Breachers, the Rust Stalkers, the Warglaives, and the engines here, and the Night Castellan. The Vanguard, the Rangers, the Belasarius, and then the Dune Strider and the Belastar are all just going to hang out and shoot. Oh yeah, the Canonical. So the Canonical for this round is the Benediction of the Omnissiah. They can reroll ones in the shooting phase and the hit portion of it. I always forget about that Canonical. By the way, no psychics, so shooting phase. Alright, that was fun. So the 2 armigers on the end there managed to kill off 6 of those genestealers. The armiger here killed off 2 of the genestealers around the fountain. The Vanguard killed 6 of the guys that were around the fountain there. The Breachers killed 2 of the guys out of this group. And yeah, they had some really good saves otherwise. And for whatever reason, the Night Castellan just can't hit anything on this turn. Makes no sense to me. So the charge phase. I think these Castellan robots here are going to charge into this group of 5 genestealers. This close armiger into the... I guess you can multi-charge into both of those guys. The middle one's going to charge into the Broodlord, and then the far one is going to charge into the smaller grouping over there. So charge phase and then the fight phase, and hopefully there'll be less genestealers on the board at the end of it. Alright, that was kind of surprising. The far Warglaive and these Castellan robots were the only ones that actually made their charge. The robots killed 3 of the genestealers, and then the genestealers did 3 damage in return. Yeah, the Warglaive just killed off all of his genestealer targets. So morale, since those guys are not in synapse range. Yeah, so those last 2 genestealers just kind of ran away. I guess it happens. Alright, that'll take us to the Tyranid turn. Movement. So there is a large amount of insects crossing the field right now. These guys are just going to stay in combat. All the genestealers just moved forward. The Broodlord just moved up a little bit closer. All of these guys advanced. Most of them didn't really get that far, honestly, because they had to get off the hill first. They're going to get there eventually. So the psychic phase. Alright, never mind on the psychic phase this turn. Nobody's close enough in the synapse range for it to mean anything. So then the shooting phase. Alright, so everybody who could shoot advanced. So they can't shoot because they all have heavy weapons. Maybe next turn. But, the charge phase is really, I think, where the Tyranid strength is at, so since that's about to occur, a close group of genestealers here into the Breachers. This middle group into the Rust Stalkers. This grouping here into the Armiger right here. The Broodlord into that armature. And that might actually be everything that's like up close right now, so we'll do charge and fight phase for that. We'll look and see what's left on the board afterwards. Alright, yeah, that was super ridiculous. Everybody made their charges. The Ruststalkers, the Breachers, and the Warglaive all died to the craziness that is the genestealers. The Broodlord got the Warglaive down to half its damage, and the Warglaive got the Broodlord down to half its damage. These genestealers killed off one of the robots, and then the other robot killed off one of the remaining genestealers. So yeah, that fight phase, charge phase experience was super ridiculous. There's a whole lot less of the Ad Mech on the table now. But it is their turn, so maybe things can get turned around here. Ad Mech movement. So the canonical for this round is Shroud Psalm, which gives all units that can hear the canonical the benefit of being in cover, even if they're not in cover. I think that really only affects 3 guys. Either way, pretty much nobody moved except the Warglaive fell back. The engine seer was able to heal 1 wound. Better than 0 wounds, I guess. This castellan robot's just going to stay in combat. And that'll take us to the Ad Mech shooting phase. I really hope that they kill some genestealers, because, yeah, it's not looking really pretty right now for Ad Mech, and it's only turn 2. Sad day. Alright, so I mean, they kind of did a little bit of work here. Belasarius and the Scorpius Doomstrider managed to kill off 7 of these genestealers. The Rangers here killed off a couple of these genestealers. The Vanguard killed off a couple of these genestealers, and then the Knight Castellan killed another 5, and then did 5 damage to the Tyrannifex. And that Warglaive didn't succeed in hitting anything. Charge phase? Yeah, the Warglaive over there is going to charge into the Hive Tyrant. Castellan Robot is still in a combat with the 1 genestealer over here. We'll deal with that. So the Warglaive made it into the combat, surviving Overwatch. They both did a decent amount of damage to each other, but neither one was able to kill the other. Over here, the Castellan Robot finally managed to finish off the last of the genestealers. So that'll take us to the Tyranid turn, where I kind of expect these guys to mostly get wiped. It might take another turn for the rest of the grouping to arrive here. We'll see how it goes. I have faith in Ad Mech for the moment. So, Tyranid movement. Alright, so the swarm has increased a little bit. Both Trigons have popped out, one on either side. The Ripper swarms have popped out at the top of the hill, deep behind enemy lines. Otherwise, everything advanced except for this unit of Hormigons. They're probably gonna, well, they're absolutely gonna try and charge into this Castellan and try and finish off the robot, get back for their genestealer buddies that died. Ordinarily, this would be a shooting phase. I guess the Trigons can probably shoot. Alright, so technically there would have been a psychic phase, but nobody's close enough to do anything to matter psychically, so shooting wise, both Trigons were unable to hit their targets, so no happiness there. Charge phase. the Hormagaunts into this last castellan robot. Genestealers into the Dominus. Those Genestealers into the Rangers. Those Genestealers into the Vanguard, and the Broodlord into the Orange Warglaive. You know, just for fun also, we'll try the Trigon into the Warglaive. Try this Trigon into these guys, the Rangers here. Oh yeah, this guy's advanced. Everything back here advanced. Alright, so yeah, we'll do all that, the fight phase and stuff. So all the Genestealers and the Broodlord and these Hormagaunts made their charges, the Trigons did not. The Hormagaunts did kill the last castellan robot. These Genestealers managed to kill off 8 of the Rangers, and 6 of the Vanguard died to these guys. The Broodlord did manage to finally kill the Orange Warglaive. And these guys continue to trade blows back and forth. Both of them are pretty low, but neither one of them is dead yet. Yeah, these guys killed the Dominus. Morale phase real fast. Well, these guys lost 8. They were pretty much guaranteed to be running anyway, and they did in fact both run. These guys only lost 6, and I had better hopes for them, but I rolled a 6, so the other 4 ran also. So that's kind of depressing. Having said that, though, it does make it back to the Ad Mech turn, so the only thing that moved here was actually the engine seer just moved closer to the Knight Castellan to help it out when it starts getting screwed up. But nobody else is going to move, so that'll take us to the shooting phase. Alright, so the Dune Strider and the Belasarius killed off these Genestealers. Belasarius Cawl killed off a couple of these guys. And the Knight Castellan pretty much took everything else out, including the Broodlord. That was super impressive. So the first wave of tyranids has been destroyed, but it took pretty much the entire Ad Mech army for that. No charges, but the Orange Warglaive is still over here in combat with the Hive Tyrant. So we'll deal with that. Well, it was a hard-fought battle, but the Armiger Warglaive did manage to triumph over the ground-based Hive Tyrant. Unfortunately, that makes it back to the Tyranid turn for movement. Alright, so I'm seeing some definite penetration on the Tyranid part here. So the Trigon moved way up to definitely take these guys on. The Tyranifex moved up. The Hormagaunts advanced. The Tyranid Warriors, both sets of Termagants, all advanced. These guys are going to hang out to charge into the Warglaive. This Trigon has moved up to take on the Knight. And the Flying Hive Tyrant has also moved up to take on Belasarius. Gonna skip the Psychic phase. The shooting phase. Oh yeah. Trigons can definitely shoot. I feel like Tyranids are kind of like orcs in the way that they kind of suck at shooting sometimes, but they really just kick ass in melee. Because the Tyrannifex missed, the Trigons missed, the Flying Hive Tyrant missed. It's just a sad day for Tyranid shooting. Tyranid charging, on the other hand, Trigon is going to charge into the Dune Strider here. The Flying Hive Tyrant is going to charge into Belasarius Cawl. This Trigon is going to charge into the Knight Castellan. And the Hormagaunts and Tyranid Prime over there are going to charge into the Armiger Warglaive. I still have high hopes for Ad Mech, but the hopes are dwindling fast. We'll see how things look after the fight phase. Everybody made their charges and survived Overwatch. The Trigon very easily split the Dune Strider open like a tin can. Over here, the Tyranid Prime and the Hormigons killed off the remaining Armiger Warglaive. The Winged Hive Tyrant did 6 damage to Belasarius' Cawl and then took 6 damage himself. And Trigon over here did 2 points of damage to the Knight Castellan and managed to save against the Titanic feat. Alright, so things are starting to kind of look up. I mean, the Knight Castellan's probably going to survive, maybe, but I don't know about the rest of this stuff. It is the Ad Mech turn now. Alright, so all that happened here was the Engine Seer gave the Knight Castellan a point of health. Belisarius' Cawl regained 3 health, and the Knight Castellan fell back. So that'll take us to the shooting phase. Alright, well I screwed up. I thought the Belisarius had a pistol weapon, but it's assault. That's on me. The Iron Strider Belastari did 6 damage to the Trigon. And the Knight Castellan just flat out killed the Trigon that was over here bothering him. No charging, but Belisarius is still in combat with the Winged Hive Tyrant, so... Alright, so the Winged Hive Tyrant was able to save against Call's attacks, but it was able to get Call down to 1 health. I just want him to die. I don't know why he doesn't want to. Either way, it's the Tyranid turn. Alright, so this Trigon and the Winged Hive Tyrant are just going to hang out where they are. Everything else over here just moved up. The Ripper Swarms that were on top of the hill are now over here behind the Knight Castellan. Yeah, I think I am going to have the Winged Hive Tyrant try and do Smite on Belisarius' Cawl. Needs a 5. So that's a 5. D3 damage, that'll be enough to kill him regardless. Does 2 damage, Belisarius is dead. Alright, that'll take us to Tyranid shooting. There are people in range of this Trigon, so there's that at least. Alright, so the Winged Hive Tyrant used his Stranglethorn Cannon and killed off the Engine Seer over there. Charge phase. This Trigon is going to charge into the Iron Strider. And these Rippers are going to charge into the Castellan. Alright, so everybody made their charges. The Castellan actually managed to kill one of the Ripper Swarms in Overwatch. They didn't do any damage to him. He killed another one with his Titanic feat. The Trigon killed the Belastari. So yeah, that'll make it to Knight Castellan's turn. It's the only Ad Mech unit left. And it's tied up in combat, which means it'll have to fall back. Super heavy walker and all that stuff, but still. Now we're coming down to the grinding war of attrition. Can these guys wear it down before it manages to kill them all off? I guess we'll see. Yeah, it's probably gonna have to move to get out of combat, so. Alright, he just moved forward a little bit. We'll do a shooting phase. Alright, this guy is not gonna go down without a fight, at the very least. He killed off all 4 of the Ripper Swarms with the Plasma Decimator and the Twin Melter Guns. And then with the Siegebreaker Cannons and the Volcano Lance, he killed off the Winged Hive Tyrant. He doesn't really have any melee, so he's just going to stand there and keep putting weapons and fire into these guys until they're dead or he is. So yeah, Tyranid turn. Movement. So all of the Tyranids are now advancing towards the last Ad Mech unit, this Knight Castellan over here. Since they all advanced, nobody can shoot. Nobody's close enough to charge, so that'll make it the Knight Castellan's turn. Alright, so he's not going to move, he's just going to stand there and plug away with the guns. So, between the Plasma Decimator and the Twin Siegebreaker Cannon, he killed off the Hormigons. And the Twin Meltaguns and the Volcano Lance killed off 4 of these Termagants with the Flesh Borers. He's certainly not going to charge, so that's the end of his turn. Yeah, so Tyranids doing movement again. I think units might actually be close enough to actually maybe charge him or do some shooting. We'll see. All the bugs are just continuing to move closer to the Knight Castellan. Got a lot of things that are closer now, so we will have a shooting turn. Okay, so the Tyranid Prime managed to do 3 points of damage to the Knight Castellan with his gun, and everybody else pretty much missed. Charging phase, so the Tyranid Prime and the Tan Termagants there are going to charge into this guy. So the Castellan killed off 2 of the Termagants in Overwatch. Everybody else made the charge. Nobody actually did any damage to the Castellan, and then he killed off the rest of the Termagants. So yeah. That makes it the Castellan's turn. I'll just move him back a little bit and then do all of his shooting. Alright, so the Castellan just moved backwards out of combat. And then used his Volcano Lance to kill the Tyranid Prime, and then the other 3 weapons to kill 6 of the remaining Termagants. Which will put it back to the Tyranid turn. So I'll move these guys. Yeah, movement. Alright, so everybody's a whole lot closer now. Definitely going to see some charges on this one. But we got a few minor bits of shooting to do first. Alright, there were plenty of hits, but nobody managed to wound it. Toughness 8 makes it hard. Charge phase. Both the Tyrannifex and the Trigon are going to charge into the Knight Castellan. They both made it in. Neither one took any damage from Overwatch. Between the 2 of them, they did 11 points of damage, bringing them down to 13. And they actually saved against the stomping, so that'll make it tonight's turn. So I'll move him a little bit and do his shooting attacks. So the Castellan fell back a little bit over there. Used his Volcano Lance to kill off the Trigon, and his Plasma Decimator to kill off the remaining Termagants. All his other attempts failed to wound, so yeah, that puts it back to the Tyranid turn. So the Tyrannifex moved over a little bit to make it easier for the Tyranid warriors to come up and make a charge. The Hormigons advanced over the trench. Shooting phase. So the Tyrannifex did a little bit of damage with its acid spray, and all of these guys failed to wound with their weapons. Charge phase will be the Tyrannifex again and the Tyranid warriors. So we lost the Tyranid warrior in Overwatch, but otherwise everyone actually made that really long charge. Toxin sacks are your friend. If it wasn't for the toxin sacks, probably would not have killed that thing this turn. But they did manage to kill it this turn, so, and it didn't explode. Alright, so that was a major war of attrition there, seeing as how there's just the Tyrannifex, 6 Tyranid warriors, and 10 Hormigons left. So Tyranids win, but Jesus, that castellan didn't want to die. It just held on forever. I fully thought the Ad Mech were going to win. They were holding out really well for a while there, too. But alas, Tyranids win. Again. Need to find somebody who can actually kill these guys besides the Necrons. I'm hoping the Night Lords can do it. We'll see how that goes. Sinesh might be able to do it. I don't know. Need to work on the Thousand Suns. They could probably give these guys a nice, decent fight. If you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate you watching. It certainly brings a smile to my face every time the view count gets above 20. Yeah, this was a good time. I certainly anticipate doing a lot more Ad Mech games. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Imperium, but these guys, the way that Billy has them painted up, they kind of look like Jawas to me. So the Star Wars happiness of that just kind of gives a little bit of more happiness boost, perhaps, maybe. I don't know. Again, if you made it to the